You have a problem. Your brand is not recommended by ChatGPT. Your potential customers types in what software you can recommend me, and it recommends competing brands. Truth to be told, you are not the only one. The 1,000 brands were ignored at that particular moment. But how did it happen, and what you need to do in order to become a recommended brand? This is the topic of today's video. I am Andrus, co-founder of AIclicks, and our tool is used by thousands of specialists just like you to optimize and increase AI visibility for their brands. And the third thing you need to understand about is how ChatGPT builds its answers. And it is fascinating. Large language models, LLMs like ChatGPT, they don't know the answers yet. They have to calculate it and predict it to answer it correctly. And everything goes fine if the calculations goes well and the user gets the correct answers. However, if the prediction did not go to the right direction, the user gets hallucinations. It predicts answers by analyzing relationships and meanings staffed in its neural network, which was done in pre-training session. And also it validates the answers using external search. And due to this reason, we can influence the answers and have our brands recommended by ChatGPT. And most likely you noticed after typing a question to ChatGPT that it gives you some sort of note what it's doing, analyzing, thinking, searching for information, calculating, generating, and whatsoever. So most of the LLM models currently, they have access to internet and they validate their information on external sources. So the secret sauce of appearing on ChatGPT is to be mentioned in the right context with your brand and also be mentioned in the right volume across World Wide Web. That's why brand visibility and mentions tracking is the core aspect of generative engine optimization activities. And tools like AIclicks help you out to track your brand mentions from collected answers. Here we can see various prompts which our brand decided to track, and in one of those columns I can see the visibility score, which is just actual percentage of my brand being mentioned in those answers. So let's take an example. I see best perplexity monitoring tools and I see most frequently cited brands in it, and luckily our brand is as well pretty oftenly mentioned in these answers. And that's one of the key aspects you need to track in LLMs. And now let's talk about your website. There is oftenly here the misconception in the industry that search engine optimization, SEO, and generative engine optimization for AIs is the same thing. And it is not fully true. Search engine optimization is important because your website is important for your brand and you have a full control of the narrative, of the volume of content you can publish there. And of course, to own your website is much cheaper than dominating all the conversation across World Wide Web. You can easily publish on your website any industry article or information which the LLM will need at some point. And also your brand is going to be mentioned millions of times in your website for sure. So your website is a home for your brand, but comparing it to the depths of the whole internet is just a tiny place. So knowing all that, make sure that your search engine optimization tactics are in place and you are constantly updating and writing content to your website, and hoping that someday whenever LM will need an answer to particular question of your customer, it will find your brand and use your website as a source of citations. But would it be enough to win AI search only with your website? Definitely not. So secondly, let's talk about most frequently cited sources. ChatGPT, to validate its answers to the customer queries, uses various publicly available sources, and it does not matter whether it's official website and documentation of particular brand, news and media publication, forums and communities, social media portals, review or comparison websites, or even business directories. So the question is, does your brand appear in all of these sources? Let's do a mental exercise. Go to Google, type in most relevant business discovery transactional commercial keyword, for example, best running shoes, press enter, and do you see in top 20 results of Google your brand name mentioned? If your brand will be missing across those 20 different websites, it means your brand lacks of exposure. Brand exposure to be well discovered by LLMs and be a solution to the customer query. And from that particular moment, you are not able anymore to do optimizations on your own. You have to rely on some particular tools to collect and identify the most citing sources where your brand could be exposed and later be discoverable by LLMs. So the tools like AIclicks, it helps you out to collect big number of answers from LLMs with its all metadata. So for example, we have a user prompt, best AI search visibility optimization tools, on which our brand would like to be discovered. And the tool simulates the conversations and goes to ChatGPT, Perplexity, Gemini, AI Overview, Grok, Log, etc. and does initiate a regular conversation. And LLM does give us backend answers as it would do for a regular customer with all its metadata and the background processing data which we're able to scrape. So I see there are some sources which are frequently was cited for that particular prompt, and later I can generalize that information from the vast amount of collected answers, and in this sense I can draw out the winners. Which of the sources were cited the most and where my brand needs to be embedded in order to increase the probability for it to be discovered. Here particularly I see that some of the sources, they are really winning the citation game, and these sources are not my website always. It's external websites, sometimes it's competitors' websites, sometimes it's a social media portals or business directories or etc., which I mentioned you before, but that's potential opportunities for my brand to be embedded. So here we see Reddit, 256 pages being cited for my particular tracked prompts, rankability.com, SEMrush as well, YouTube, etc. That's why I purchased this microphone and I'm right now recording this video, because it is important for LLMs, for AIclicks to be discovered. And how optimization is being done with sources. So we have all the sources in the tool listed by its frequency of citation, and the obvious thing would be just to go to those most frequently cited sources, try to find out the author or the contributor or the editor of that particular article or content piece on LinkedIn, or try to scrape their email or write to just an info box of that website and ask to have your brand embedded in the right context. So we don't need to predict where does our brand needs to appear, and there are tools which helps you out to save a lot of resources and costs exactly to show which of the articles and sources are the most frequently cited and where your brand needs to be in order to increase the probability of your brand be discovered. And later, after contacting these websites, getting your brand embedded and so on, you will start to see that your brand is being mentioned and visibility increases more oftenly. LLMs as well as ChatGPT is not mysterious. It's a mirror which reflects the most organized, trustworthy, and frequently cited brand across the internet. And what you can do today to change the situation. First of all, start tracking your brand visibility across potential customer queries. Develop your website content. If you don't know how to do it, ask search engine optimization specialists for help and try to answer all potential customer customer queries surrounding your industry or your product on your website. Expand your brand awareness across various industry-related sources on the internet. And I mean, go beyond traditional paid advertising. Invest in articles, PR activities, be discussed and join the conversation on social media portals, communities, and forums. Make sure you have created business directories in G2, Gartner, Trustpilot, and so on, and collect customer testimonials in these platforms. These all small footprints on the internet creates your brand more discoverable, more trustworthy, and appealing for LLMs to get you recommended. And finally, if you're looking for a helpful tool who can do it all and cut corners in optimization and guide you through all the processes, join AIclicks. The information about the tool I will leave in the description below, and we're happy to see you optimizing your brand for better visibility on LLMs. See ya!